Welcome to Coding in Style, a series of short videos where we look for ways to improve our code. This is Dragos and you are watching the episode number 8, where we talk about how to name a variable or a constant. Those of you who have kids know that one of the first difficult decisions you have to make is how to choose the name of your kid. There are different methods that people use. One of the easiest way is to pick a name from a relative or even from the parents. I'm sure you remember George Bush Jr. or Robert Downey Jr. I'm sure that their parents, when they had a discussion about how to choose their names, they had so much difficulty in finding a name that the wife said, "Honey, let's just choose your name." And the father of course agreed, because he was very happy to pass down the name. Even the famous Bill Gates, his real name is William Henry Gates III. Why third? Because his father was called William Henry Gates II. Why second? Of course you guessed, because his own father was called William Henry Gates. Some nations choose their name by the meaning. Even in English, lots of names have nice meanings. For example, John means gracious. Mary means sea. William, that is, comes from will, that means, of course, will, desire. Naming one item in the code is similar to naming your kids. It should sound good and expect to last forever. Of course, nowadays we have we have tools that will make it easy for us to change a name, but that's rarely happening. Of course, if you don't find a good name, you can choose whatever and expect to change it later. But if you commit the code, just expect that the name that you choose to last forever. Today, we are looking at how to name a variable or a constant. First rule comes from the answer to the question: how should we choose a good name? What is really a good name? When you choose a name, it should be very clear. Here are 4 examples that don't really respect this rule. For example, the car. What is a car model or the car name? So we can add another word to make it clear. Age. Whose age? Is the user age? Maybe is the cat age? The length. Whose length is this? Maybe is property length. Or the count. What count we are talking about? Maybe it is user count. In this way, whoever sees these variables will know exactly what they are about. You should use a noun for a variable or a constant. So in this case, we can guess that the calculate is used to calculate to make a certain calculation. So instead of calculate, we can use result. Succeed is probably used to save if a certain thing succeeded or not. So we can replace it by success. When you write comments or when you write your code, you should try as much as possible to speak English. So this variable is called RDUser. I'm sure for the developer who wrote it is pretty clear, but for everybody else it's pretty confusing. So if he meant remote desktop user, he should just write that in the variable name. You should be very specific. So in this case, the user, we don't know what it is. Is the user ID, username, maybe user first name. So we should add that in the variable. We should differentiate between constants and variables. There are different ways to do that. For example, we can add a k in front of it. And of course, in Swift, we should use let instead of var. When we are developing in Swift and using AppKit or UIKit, it's a custom to use the variable name, the class name inside the variable name, so to make it simpler for whoever sees the name to understand what it's about. So let's say for a view controller, we can use login view controller, if it's a view controller. If we have a view, we can have card view, for example, if we have a game. For a button, we can use exit button. And for a text field, we can have name text field. Too many negations in one sentence, it's very confusing. So we should use as little negations as possible. So in this case, if you look at this, if is not clear what is it about. But if you just change the names of the variables, and remove the not in front of them, then it's clear. Then this will happen when the user is not logged in and it is not an admin. Include units of measure in the name. In this case, the speed. We are not clear in what system is the speed measured. So we can have speed in kilometer per hour. We can write hour to be clear. Delay in seconds. And the length can be length in miles. Sometimes we like to have fun and try to be funny, but this can confuse the other developer. So let's say for a crashing method we write dying wish. In this context it's clear what it is, but if somebody sees in a different part of the program dying wish, they will not know what it is. And this variable trouble to see if we had any issue or any error, again can be confusing, but you must admit that this is funny. Trouble. Okay, and the last example, actually it's not example, is try to make the variable name in such a way that you can say, the variable can say I am and add there the variable name. For example, I am username. That's a good name. Okay, so that's about it for today. We talked about how to name a variable or a constant. So, what do you think? What are the rules you use when you name a variable or a constant? Anything different than what you talk about? Or anything more? Do you have any other rules? Just leave a comment to this video or send me a message. Also, feel free to share the video if you think it's useful. But even though if you feel it's awful, also share with everybody. Tell everybody how awful this video is. Just send it to all your friends and colleagues. Okay? So please do that. That's about it for now. See you next time. Thank you very much.